Sometimes when you have conflicts, a negative goes into a positive from that situation, really.
In Hollywood, people often imagine bright lights, red carpets, beautiful clothes, and famous stars who look perfect every single day. But behind all the glitter, the truth is sometimes very different. In a recent interview, 94-year-old Robert Duvall surprised many fans when he finally opened up about something that few people ever talk about: the shocking personal hygiene habits of some of the biggest stars in the movie world. He explained that he has worked with many great actors over the years, people with incredible talent and powerful personalities, but some of them had habits that made it extremely hard to work beside them. According to Duvall, it was not about bad acting, not about ego, and not about disagreements over scenes. Instead, it was something much simpler and much more uncomfortable: smell. Duvall said that even the most brilliant performances could not hide the fact that some actors had such intense and unpleasant odors that it made filming extremely difficult. He remembered moments when the crew had to open every window on set, moments when even the strongest air fresheners failed, and moments when everyone tried to keep a polite distance while still trying to do their jobs. Hollywood may look glamorous from the outside, but Duvall made it clear that the reality behind the camera can be messy, sweaty, smoky, and sometimes almost unbearable. He began by talking about Jack Nicholson, one of the most well-known names in movie history. Nicholson is famous for his amazing acting skills, his charming but slightly wild personality, and his unforgettable roles. But according to Duvall, those who worked close to him knew a very different side of the actor. Duvall explained that during the filming of The Shining, Nicholson often neglected basic hygiene. He would show up wearing the same clothes for several days, his hair messy, the smell of cigarettes and alcohol heavy around him, and sweat soaked into his shirts. Makeup artists struggled to work on him, sometimes needing to stop so that someone could gently ask Nicholson to shower before continuing. Even then, Nicholson often laughed it off or ignored the advice completely. Duvall said that Nicholson believed deeply in focusing on his art, and in Nicholson's own words, personal hygiene was a luxury not worth thinking about. Still, Duvall admitted that working near Nicholson sometimes felt like trying to act inside a thick cloud of old smoke and sweat. Even though Nicholson was a genius on camera, his lack of hygiene made him one of the most challenging actors to work beside. What made this even more surprising was how Nicholson's public image was always so polished. People saw him at award shows wearing perfect suits and smiling confidently. But Duvall made it clear that behind the scenes, the truth was very different. This created a strange contrast between the star the world adored and the man his colleagues had to endure on set. After Nicholson, Duvall moved on to talk about Al Pacino, another legendary actor whose talent is respected worldwide. Fans know Pacino for his intense stare, his emotional performances, and his deep dedication to every role he plays. But Duvall described a side of Pacino that most people never imagined. During the 1970s, Pacino was so focused on acting that he often forgot to take care of himself. Duvall said that Pacino sometimes showed up with dried sweat on his skin, greasy hair, and clothes that had not been washed for days. Crew members remembered that whenever Pacino walked into a room, the smell of sweat, cigarettes, and old coffee followed him. Some actors quietly shifted a little farther away from him during long scenes, trying to breathe more easily while still acting naturally. Duvall said Pacino was completely absorbed in his craft and seemed unaware of how strong the smell around him had become. In one interview from that time, Pacino even admitted that he cared more about the character he was playing than about how he looked or smelled. According to Duvall, Pacino's dedication to acting was admirable, but his hygiene habits made working with him extremely challenging. Even simple tasks, like doing makeup or fixing his hair before filming, took longer than usual because the team had to deal with the heavy, stubborn scents trapped in his clothing. Still, Duvall said that despite all these difficulties, Pacino's talent was undeniable, and his performances often made people forget everything else once the cameras started rolling. But once the director yelled, "Cut," reality returned quickly, and the crew once again felt the uncomfortable atmosphere surrounding him. Then Duvall mentioned Gene Hackman, another extraordinary actor with a powerful presence on screen. Hackman was known for his serious approach to acting, his strong personality, and his ability to deliver unforgettable performances. However, Duvall said that Hackman also had hygiene habits that shocked many people on set. Hackman often arrived wearing wrinkled clothes, sometimes with the smell of old sweat mixed with cigarette smoke clinging to every part of his outfit. Duvall remembered moments when the entire crew had to open every window just to breathe more easily, especially during long shooting days in small indoor rooms. One crew member once joked that Hackman's smell was practically a character of its own because it entered every room before he did. Duvall explained that Hackman was not careless out of disrespect. Instead, Hackman simply lived a very relaxed lifestyle and did not pay much attention to cleanliness. He often wore the same shirts for several days, and his jacket sometimes carried the smell of smoke so strongly that it stayed in the room long after he walked out. Duvall said that, in those moments, even being a professional actor was difficult, because trying to deliver lines while struggling to breathe was a challenge on its own. Still, like Pacino and Nicholson, Hackman's acting was so powerful that people admired him anyway. But behind the camera, the reality was uncomfortable, and many people secretly hoped for fresh air between scenes. Throughout the interview, Duvall emphasized that the public often sees only the glamorous, idealized version of Hollywood. People imagine perfect hair, clean suits, expensive perfume, and stars who always look ready for a photo shoot. But Duvall said that for every polished moment in front of the camera, there were many rough, messy, sweaty moments behind the scenes. Directors, actors, and crew members had to endure things the audience never saw. Duvall's honesty shocked many people because his stories revealed a side of Hollywood that few would believe unless they heard it directly from someone who was there. He explained that personal hygiene might seem like a small thing, but when people work close together every day, sometimes for hours at a time, even small issues become big problems. Actors must stand close to each other during emotional scenes, whisper lines, hug, fight, cry, or sit in a cramped car for hours while filming. In those moments, smell matters more than anyone wants to admit. Duvall said that he respected every actor he worked with, but he could not deny how challenging some days were. The experience taught him that even the greatest stars have flaws, secrets, habits, and weaknesses that the world never hears about. Robert Duvall continued explaining that Hollywood, despite its glamorous image, is filled with deeply human moments, some inspiring, some challenging, and some almost impossible to forget. He said that personal hygiene is something most people never imagine becoming a serious issue in the film industry. After all, actors are some of the most photographed and admired people on the planet. They appear flawless in magazines, they walk on red carpets with confidence, and they smile for cameras with perfectly styled hair and carefully chosen clothes. But Duvall revealed that what you see in public is only a small part of the truth. Behind closed doors, behind the curtains and bright lights, many actors live in ways that are completely different from what fans imagine. Some are incredibly clean and organized, while others live messy lives that spill into their work. Duvall explained that when a film is being made, actors often work very long hours. They arrive early in the morning, sometimes before sunrise, and return home late at night. They might have to film scenes in hot studios, under heavy lights, wearing the same outfit day after day for continuity. Because of this, smell becomes real, unavoidable, and sometimes overwhelming. Duvall said that when one actor does not maintain basic hygiene, the entire crew feels it. The makeup team smells it while standing inches away from the actor's face. The costume team smells it when adjusting clothing. Fellow actors feel it during emotional scenes where they must be close together. Even directors sometimes have difficulty focusing. According to Duvall, these hygiene issues created some of the most uncomfortable working environments he had ever experienced. After speaking about Jack Nicholson, Al Pacino, and Gene Hackman, Duvall continued down the list of actors who struggled with personal hygiene in ways that shocked him. One name he mentioned surprised many people, an actor known for his clean-cut, elegant, heartthrob image. Duvall did not reveal his name publicly, but he described him clearly enough that people could guess. This actor was famous for his romantic roles in the 1960s and 1970s, roles where he played charming young men who swept women off their feet. But Duvall said that off-camera, the man's habits were nothing like the characters he played. He often wore the same shirt for days, and sometimes even weeks, without washing it. His jackets carried the smell of old sweat mixed with cologne, creating a strange, sour scent that filled every room he entered. Crew members would sometimes spray the dressing room with strong deodorizing sprays before he arrived, hoping to make the space more bearable. Duvall said that when the actor sat down in a chair, the smell lingered even after he left, clinging to the furniture like a stubborn memory. Yet the public saw him as the picture of perfection. This, Duvall explained, is the magic of Hollywood. The camera sees only what people want it to see. Another actor Duvall mentioned was a woman, one of the most admired actresses of her generation. She was known for her beauty, her grace, and her powerful performances. Fans saw her as almost angelic. But Duvall said that during one long film shoot, she struggled with personal hygiene to a shocking degree. It began when she developed a serious skin infection due to neglecting proper care and refusing to take time off for medical treatment. The infection became so severe that her skin began to crack and peel, creating a strong, unpleasant smell that made it difficult for people to stand close to her. Duvall explained that the actress did not want the media to find out about her condition, so she tried to hide it. She applied heavy makeup over the infected areas, wore thick layers of clothing, and sprayed large amounts of perfume to mask the odor. But nothing worked. Eventually, she was forced to leave the country secretly for treatment because the condition had become too dangerous to ignore. Duvall said it was one of the saddest things he had ever seen on a film set. He felt sympathy for her, but he also remembered how incredibly difficult it was for everyone around her during that time. Makeup artists gagged quietly while working on her face, crew members avoided standing near her, and even the director tried to shorten scenes that required other actors to be close to her. But the audience never knew. When the film was released, she looked stunning on screen, as if nothing had ever happened. This, Duvall said, was another example of the strange and often painful reality hidden behind Hollywood's glamorous curtain. Duvall then spoke about a male actor whose hygiene problems were not caused by illness or stress, but simply by a lifestyle filled with heavy drinking and smoking. According to Duvall, this man arrived on set almost every day with clothes that smelled strongly of stale liquor, cigarette smoke, and sweat. His breath was so strong that actors hesitated to do close-up scenes with him. One of the directors even complained that the actor's smell embarrassed him in front of producers. The odor clung to the actor's costumes so severely that wardrobe teams sometimes washed the same outfit twice a day. In one incident, a makeup artist had to step away for fresh air after trying to apply powder to the actor's face because the scent was overpowering. Duvall remembered that even though the actor was talented, his lack of discipline off-camera caused many problems. He was sometimes late, sometimes unfocused, and sometimes so sweaty from the previous night's activities that makeup would not stay on his skin. Yet again, the public had no idea. They saw only the finished film, where he appeared clean and flawless. But Duvall said that filming with him felt like working beside a walking storm of smoke, alcohol, and frustration. Duvall also mentioned an actor who refused to brush his teeth. This man believed that his natural appearance made him more authentic on camera, so he avoided basic grooming entirely. Cast members complained about his bad breath, especially during kissing scenes, which became extremely difficult for the actresses who had to perform with him. One actress was so upset about a kissing scene with him that she cried in her trailer before filming. The director tried to help by offering the actor mints and mouthwash, but he refused. He claimed that the bad breath added depth to his character. Duvall said that while the man was a good actor, his behavior caused unnecessary stress on set. The actresses tried to stay professional, but the discomfort was obvious. Even after filming ended, the story spread quietly among actors in Hollywood, becoming almost a cautionary tale about how strange and unpleasant some working conditions could be. By this point in the interview, Duvall had revealed several surprising names and situations, each more unbelievable than the last. But he said that the final story, the one he saved for last, was the most shocking of all. He described a powerful, respected actor, someone adored by fans, admired by other actors, and celebrated for decades. But according to Duvall, this man had the most extreme hygiene habit he had ever encountered in his entire career. Not only did the actor refuse to shower for long periods of time, but he also believed that washing removed his creative energy. He sometimes went weeks without bathing. His clothes were rarely washed, his hair was oily and tangled, and his body odor was so strong that several crew members refused to work directly with him. Duvall said that during one film, the smell became so overwhelming that the director changed multiple scenes to avoid close contact with him. Yet the actor, unaware or unbothered by the discomfort he caused, continued working as if nothing was wrong. When the film was released, critics praised his performance, never knowing that behind the scenes, people opened every door and window just to breathe. Robert Duvall's long career in Hollywood has allowed him to work with hundreds of stars, directors, writers, and producers, but in every interview he gives, people notice that he never complains for no reason. He does not insult people just to sound interesting, and he does not make up stories to stay in the news. That is why, when he finally decided to reveal the names of 9 major stars whose hygiene was so bad that he couldn't stand working with them, the entire entertainment world stopped and listened. Duvall explained that hygiene problems on set are not just about someone smelling bad. They can affect the entire crew, the mood of the environment, and even the quality of the performance. He said that acting requires closeness, long hours, and sometimes intense physical scenes. If a person refuses basic cleanliness, it becomes much harder to stay focused and deliver good work. Over time, those bad habits spread rumors, tensions, and even anger behind the scenes. In this part of the story, Duvall began describing how shocking it was to learn that some of the biggest celebrities in the world, people with access to the best personal care resources, still ignored simple hygiene. He remembered one actor who refused to shower during long shooting weeks because he believed soap ruined his natural energy. According to Duvall, this actor would show up to the set with hair full of oil, clothes soaked in sweat, and a smell so powerful that the makeup artists had to step out of the room just to breathe. Duvall said that the crew tried everything, from opening windows to using fans and even spraying air freshener, but nothing covered the odor. Another star on his list was someone known for playing romantic roles, which made the truth even more surprising. Duvall said this particular actor brushed his teeth only when he remembered to, which was almost never. During close-up scenes, the smell became unbearable, and Duvall admitted that he sometimes had to hold his breath until the director yelled, "Cut." It became such a problem that the crew quietly started offering mints, gum, and even new toothbrushes, but the actor simply laughed and said, "I don't need that stuff." Duvall described how this lack of care made scenes uncomfortable and even slowed down production because the cinematographer kept having to redo shots. Duvall's expressions showed real discomfort, which ruined the emotional tone the film needed. He continued by talking about a famous actress who refused deodorant because she believed it was unnatural. Duvall remembered doing a dance scene with her, and every time she raised her arms, the smell made his eyes water. He said he respected people's personal choices, but he didn't understand why someone working on a professional movie set couldn't find a balance between natural living and basic hygiene. He said that even natural deodorants existed at that time, but she ignored all suggestions. Duvall also revealed that one actor he admired greatly had such a strong body odor that wardrobe staff had to wash or replace his shirt several times a day. The actor refused to change his habits, and he even joked that his smell should be considered part of his artistic identity. Duvall said the smell lingered long after filming ended, staying in dressing rooms, hallways, and sometimes even on costumes that other actors had to wear later. In another shocking moment, Duvall spoke about a star who never washed his hands. The actor touched everything, props, food, people's faces during scenes, without a single thought. Duvall described watching him leave the bathroom without washing up, then immediately grabbing a sandwich from the catering table. Crew members stopped eating food that the actor touched, and one person even started bringing their meals from home to avoid contamination. Duvall said he tried politely reminding the star to wash his hands, but the actor responded by saying, "I believe germs build character." Duvall said that was one of the strangest comments he had ever heard on a set. The list continued with someone who wore the same socks for days, letting them dry and harden inside his shoes. Duvall said that when the actor finally took them off, the smell spread so strongly that people opened studio doors and windows even during winter. Another performer on his list had a habit of chewing tobacco and spitting into cups that he left around the set. The cups sometimes spilled, attracting flies and causing stains on furniture and props. Duvall called it one of the dirtiest habits he had ever seen. He also talked about a famous comedian who refused to wash his costume because he believed it helped him stay in character. Duvall said the costume smelled like old sweat and food, making scenes difficult to film. Wardrobe staff begged the comedian to let them clean it, but he refused every time. The ninth star on Duvall's list was perhaps the most surprising of all because this person always looked glamorous on camera. But behind the scenes, Duvall said the star almost never showered, preferring to use perfume to cover the odor. The problem was that the mixture of sweat and strong fragrance created a chemical-like smell that was even worse. Duvall said he sometimes had to excuse himself from scenes just to breathe fresh air. He stressed that he didn't mention these stars just to embarrass them. Instead, he wanted people to understand that Hollywood is not always as perfect as it looks. Behind the shining lights and red carpets, real people with real habits work long days, and some of those habits are very unpleasant. Duvall explained that he learned to respect every crew member who has to deal with these challenges quietly: makeup artists, costume designers, camera operators, and assistants, because they cannot walk away even when things become uncomfortable. He said many of these hygiene problems were kept secret to avoid damaging careers, but now that he is older, he feels more comfortable speaking honestly. He also shared how some young actors today take much better care of themselves, especially because social media puts them under constant public observation. Duvall said modern actors understand hygiene as part of their job, not just a personal choice. He said that the industry has changed a lot, and new standards have helped make sets cleaner and more professional. He also mentioned that some of the stars on his list eventually changed their habits after crew members complained or after film studios quietly pressured them. Duvall believes that everyone, no matter how famous, should think about the people around them. He said acting is about teamwork, and poor hygiene shows disrespect to the entire team. To him, being clean and presentable is as important as learning lines or showing up on time. As he finished telling his story, Duvall said he still loves acting and respects every person he ever worked with, even the ones who made things difficult. But he believes honesty matters, and sometimes the truth is shocking, surprising, and even funny. He said that while talent can make someone a star, hygiene can determine whether other actors want to work with them again. His message was simple: fame does not excuse bad habits, and even the greatest stars are human enough to forget the basics. The audience listening to Duvall felt both entertained and amazed. They realized that behind every legendary performance, there might be a smell that nobody ever expected. And although Duvall did not reveal every name publicly, his stories were powerful enough to change how people think about the glamorous world of Hollywood forever.